Hi, I'm Dr. Drew and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is a channel not on medicine but on all the other aspects needed to live our medicine lives. Today we're going to be talking about passive wealth accumulation. What it is, why it's important, and how it differs from passive cash flow and how we can utilize it. So passive wealth accumulation is the process of building wealth through passive investment strategies. This can include the index funds in the stock market, as well as real estate development projects or land development projects where a significant amount of capital has to be invested into it, and essentially raw land or just before the building is raised has to be built and has to be sold to other home purchasers or investors. And then when the capital is returned that way, you essentially get a large cash flow distribution once or certain periods of the year, essentially completing that project. And so passive wealth accumulation is very intermittent. Again, there's no guarantee that you will actually build that wealth or obtain that cash flow, but essentially it's very intermittent, and it's generally at the end of the life cycle of that particular investment strategy. While as with a passive cash flow, you essentially get cash flow either monthly or quarterly and semi-annually if you're using bonds and so on. So it can mimic income, while as passive wealth accumulation or capital appreciation strategies don't mimic income, but mimic essentially, saving for your retirement and then drawing down from your retirement intermittently rather than monthly like an income. So it's a bit more difficult concept to understand than just your simple passive cash flow. The key aspect of passive wealth accumulation is that it allows for the growth of wealth without actively working for it on a day-to-day basis, because essentially a value creation model or value is being created from the raw land to a building, or from startups, for example, or angel investments, where the 10x rule, where if you invest into a company, it essentially gives you 10 times its return back. Now, obviously, that's a unicorn company and it doesn't happen all the time. Generally, I would temper my enthusiasm and probably maintain like a 2x or 3x, especially in the startup world or angel investments. And we'll talk about the statistics of those later on, about venture capital and failure rate, because that's very important to understand, similar to the vacancy risk in a real estate investment. And so why is it important for physicians to understand about passive wealth accumulation? But in our mind, when I started this journey, there was confusion between passive cash flow and passive wealth accumulation. I would say the vast majority of financial advisors are educated in passive wealth accumulation, which is essentially take your money, put it into the index fund or mutual fund or stock market. Banks are also adept at that, and essentially don't touch it until you retire. And at that point, there's a kind of a nest egg that has grown. Now, you could use the stock market as a cash flow strategy, which is what the vast majority of FIRE individuals, like financial independence, retire early individuals do, where they essentially draw down as capital gains from their stock market portfolio, or they use tax loss harvesting strategies and so on, again beyond the scope of this video. But there are wealth accumulation, capital appreciation strategies that could be used for income, but it is not as simple as our salaries, where we go to work and we get paid bi-monthly or bi-weekly or so on. While as in a passive wealth accumulation strategy, you have to determine, when do I pull the trigger on selling a portion of that asset in order to create the income that I need. And so it's important to understand that's the reason why I'm covering it. It can be especially beneficial for doctors who are nearing retirement or looking for ways to supplement their income. It can help reduce financial stress. It can provide a consistent source of income that can be used to cover expenses. Now, how do we do that? Well, investing in the stock market, angel investing, any real estate, land development project, basically anytime there is no collateral, no way of selling the asset. It's not very liquid as such, although the stock market is quite liquid within reason, are ways of building passive wealth accumulation. It can be a valuable tool. It's not a guaranteed source of income. There's always risk involved with investing. And as always, if you're not comfortable or you don't understand the difference between the two, then it's important to consult with the financial advisor to help you navigate this financial journey. that's 5 minutes. So in conclusion or summary, passive wealth accumulation or capital appreciation is a strategy which is different from passive cash flow, and it's a way of building wealth in an intermittent fashion. You would have to do long-term planning. For example, a real estate development project that pays out every 5 years, you would have to buy 5 development projects every year for 5 years to then reap the benefits for the last 5 years, which would be 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, because the first one will cash flow at 6th, the second would cash flow at the 7th, and so on. So again, it requires a lot of forethought, again, and it's not a guaranteed source of income, so a lot more due diligence has to go into it. It's very different from our obviously active income where we go to work and we get paid a salary. All of this can help reduce our financial stress, and generally, because of the risks that you're taking, they tend to have higher payouts at those intermittent times. It's important to consult with a financial advisor if you're not comfortable with any of these terms or being able to manage them. So hopefully this serves as a summary of what passive wealth accumulation means in a world filled with information but not succinctly. A few action items. If you'd like to learn the exact frameworks used by affluent physicians to take back control of their time and money, then use the links in the description below. I make these videos because my mission is to help fight burnout in 10,000 physicians across this world, and I want to start the journey with you because I had hoped that someone would hold my hand through this journey, and this is my way of giving back. Come and join a free community of like-minded physicians in my Facebook group where we share cheat sheets, calculators, and everything in between to live our best medicine lives. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you for taking the time to take care of your patients, and I'll see you in the next episode.